suppress them. They suppress them. But then China said, we're not giving money. We can't. Africa said they want to build their bridges. We're going to build them. They want to build the train road. We're going to build a train for them. So America said, but then I think what we're doing is not working. So 2025 November, they decided to change their policy towards Africa. So what is the American strategy? That's the question they're asking themselves. Is it how American strategy went astray? To ensure that Americans remain the world's strongest, richest, and more powerful, and most successful countries from decades to come, our country needs a coherent, focused strategy for how we interact with the world. And to get that right, all Americans need to know this. Need to know what? Exactly. It is we are trying to do and why. A strategy is a concrete, realistic plan that explains the essential connection between ends and means. It begins from an accurate assessment of what is desired and what tools are available or can realistically be created to achieve the desired outcome. A strategy must elevate, stoke, and prioritize. Not every country, region, issue, or cause, however worthy, can be the focus of American strategy. So Mr. Trump saying that it's not all countries. Some countries we don't have to worry about them. They ain't got much. But countries like Nigeria, for example, Nigeria got too much. They got population, they got resources, they got manpower. So they always focus on Nigeria. Just even that population alone in Africa, based on their resources alone. So they got to focus on those countries in Africa. Yeah. So their strategy, they focus mainly on those countries that they will be able to benefit from immensely. They ain't going to deal with some of these tiny countries where they ain't got much. They don't worry about them. Because for them, they can just walk in and just take what they want to take and just walk away. For example, country like Liberia. America can just go to Liberia and grab what they want. Liberia can't say shit. So they don't worry about country like Liberia. They worry about those big guys, those big countries with a higher population, with a higher resources. So that strategy is about focusing on those countries that they can gain from, that they can take from. So the American strategy since the end of the Cold War have fallen short. They have been laundering lists of wishes or desire and states. We not clearly define what one, but instead stated vaunted platitude and have often misjudged what we should want. After the end of the Cold War, the American foreign policy elite convinced themselves that permanent American domination of the entire world was in the best interest of our country. Yet, the affair of other countries are our concern only if their activities directly threaten our interests. So they're saying that the only time to worry so much about some of these countries outside there, their interest in those countries, when it's being tampered with, then they focus on you. But if you are so stupid, you are so dumb, you just give them out, and you don't worry about it, you're not thinking about protesting, you're not thinking about stopping them, they don't worry about you. They worry about those big guys, like for example, Burkina Faso. America got to worry about Burkina Faso every day because Burkina Faso cut everything out. We're not giving our reunion, we're not giving our goal, we're not giving nothing. So they have to focus on them because they need something from them. But those countries in Africa that can just get out their resources, America say they don't worry about them because they're easy to deal with. They can even give them small bribe. They'll be okay with that. But those countries that insisting that they can't take bribe, they want to control their mineral resources, America said they had to focus on them because they need something from them. They had to focus on them. So after the Cold War, the American foreign policy elite convinced themselves that permanent American domination of the entire world was in the best interest of our country. Yet, the affairs of other countries are our concern only if their activities directly threaten our interests. Our elite badly miscalculated America's willingness to shoulder foreign global burden to which the American people saw no connection to the national interest. They overestimated America's ability to fund. Simultaneously, a massive warfare, regulatory, administrative state alongside a massive military, diplomatic alliance, and foreign aid complex. So they come with their foreign aid, their foreign diplomat, massive military bases in Africa. So they had all those things, and all those things was a strategy for them. And those strategy was to what? To pay attention to their interests. One of their interests had to do with the mineral resources of Africa. Because as long as they got their military bases in Africa, for examples, the gold, the diamonds, they know where it is. They know where it's coming from the soil. And they go right there and grab it. It doesn't matter whether they start civil war. It doesn't matter whether they overthrow your president. It doesn't matter. As long as they need it, they will find whatever means to get it from you. So they focus on those countries that they know they're easily leaving from under their control. They don't worry about those countries that ain't no easy to deal with. Like I say, a country like Liberia, America don't worry about country like Liberia because they are easy to deal with. They are easy to being bored. So they don't worry about them in Africa. They don't worry about them. So it's a massive welfare, regulatory, administrative state, alongside a massive military, diplomatic, intelligence, and a foreign aid policy. They place hugely misguided and destructive bet on globalism and so-called free trade that allow out a very middle class and industrialized base on which the American economy and military permanent depend. They allow alliance and partner to offload the cost of their defense into the American people, and sometimes to suck us into conflict and controversy. The contrary to their interests, but perhaps irrelevant to our own, and they lynch American policy to a network of international institutions, some of which are driven by outrage, anti-Americanism, and many by a transitionalism that explicitly seek to dissolve individual state sovereignty. In sum, not only did our elite pursue a fundamental, undesirable, and impossible goal, in doing so, they undermine the very means necessary to achieve that goal. The character of our nation, upon which its power, wealth, and decency were built. But two, Mr. President Donald Trump necessary welcome correction. I want to read that. Let me go to Africa policy. I want you to hear that part of Africa when it comes to the policy that they put in the document for Africa. Let me go to that. So it's a strategy principle. The strategy principle, I'll read that. It's a President Donald Trump foreign policy. It's permanent without being pernicious. Realistic without being realistic. The principle without being ideologist, meticulous without being hacking, and retain without being dominant. It is not grounded in traditional political ideologies. It is motivated above all by what work for America, or in two ways: America first. That's his ideology. You see, he always talk about that, America first, and that's beautiful. That's his country. You always got to put it first. So likewise, Africa can do the same thing. Africa first. We hold our mineral, hold our diamond, hold our gold, hold our platinum, hold our iron ore, hold everything. Because why? Africa first. That's going to be beautiful. Mr. Trump right to say America first. So likewise, African leader too had the right to say Africa first. Hold your gold, hold your uranium, hold all the mineral resources. Grab it. Take your time. Don't rush it. Take your time. Whoever you want to trade with, you can trade with them. You're not satisfied, hold on to it. Support Africa first, African leaders. It's just simple. When you look at the poor policy, it's about their country. It's about them finding ways to get from other people. So you yourself do the same thing. You got what they need. So you don't have to rush. You don't have to go running for IMF. You see Captain Abraham Traore? This young man not care about World Bank. He don't care about aid. Captain Abraham Traore, General Tiani, and Assimi Goita, those guys don't worry about aid. You know why? Because they're controlling that shit. Burkina Faso first, Niger first. Not like some of these African countries. No, they don't put their country first. They always put their own interest first. And these are the things that are giving them a hard time. I want to read this portion of where they talk about Africa. I want to read that portion where Mr. Trump talk about Africa in this policy, the foreign policy. Like now, I was just reading it. Give me 1 second, folks. I'm going to read it. Okay, Ukraine. Okay, Africa right here. There we go. They got Israel, everything right here in this document. But I'll talk about Africa. Because like I said, Africa should be first, right? Because like I said, Africa has so much value. Africa is like an asset. And because of the value of Africa, African leaders are supposed to stand together and uphold to that value. Because that value will give them the power that they deserve. That value will give them the leverage that they need. But because of the division and all these little commotion, among African leaders, it giving African countries hard time. If they could just put Africa first, like they have Mr. Trump say, America first, African leaders will say, Africa first. You want our gold? This is how we want to sell it. You don't want it? All right. See you, bye. You want our uranium? This is how we're selling it. You don't want it? See you, bye. We go to the next customer. And now they're going to take us serious because we put in Africa first. Just simple, plain. Just simple and plain. So it's Africa. Is it far too long? The American policy in Africa has focused on providing a little unsparing liberal ideologies. Listen to this. This is the policy for Africa that they had on papers yesterday. And you're going to see the new one that Mr. Trump talked about. The new one now had to do almost like what China's doing in Africa. China being some of the longest train from Kenya, I think even in Guinea. They're building some long train in Guinea. They're doing so many work in those places, right? But that's what they say in this document. It's far too long. The American policy in Africa has focused on providing a little unsparing liberal ideologies. The United States should instead look to partner with select countries. In amorous conflict. It's a faster mutual beneficial trade. The relationship and transition from a foreign aid paradigm to an investment. So they're saying that they want to stay away from those foreign aid to now investment. Meaning, the bank giving aid. Now they want to forget about the aid so they can start thinking about investment. Meaning, you go to Africa, Africa say, oh no, we want to build this, we want to build that. Okay, now we're going to build it. But yesterday, they were not doing that. They don't care whether your road is built. When you go to some of these African countries, you're going to see the gold leaving from that area. No road. But they will come and build their train. And they will take those gold from that location, take it straight back to the seaport. Like, for example, Liberia. I said the examples. When you look at Liberia, for examples, they got so many Western companies that are exploiting the gold, the iron ore. And then those locations that they're taking those mineral from, you go there, the roads are bad. No hospitals, no school, no nothing. The people living in makeshift houses, they're paying workers little change. So America said, no, we got to change that now. We got to start building infrastructure for the people of Africa. They're trying to just gain us. But all those things are scam. I don't believe in none of those things. Don't build nothing for us. We can build our own. You see, Burkina Faso, like I said, every construction that going on in Burkina Faso is being done by the Burkina citizen. That is the type of Africa I want to see. Now, no other Western country coming to tell us that want to build your bridge. We can build our own bridge. We can build our own hospital. You don't have to build it for us. So America said now they want to do infrastructure. They want to forget about aid. They've been giving aid to Africa, but it will not. And I don't think it worked. That's why it worked for them. But they want to act like now they love Africa so much. So they want to come now to talk about infrastructure. No, we don't want your infrastructure. But most Africans don't care about that. They don't care. They will give their resources for 25 years. How can you give your iron ore to a company for 25 years? Why would you do that? Let me show you Liberia. So you can think I'm making it up. Look at this company in Liberia that gave their mining company of the iron ore to a company for 25 freaking years. Now, the president of Liberia just renewed when he went to France. He renewed the company again for another 25 years. So the first 25 years that were given under the previous 12, the previous government, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, they renew it. Joseph Parker just renew it to another 25 years. Let me play you so you can see what we're talking about here. So you can think that we're just making it up. And see what the people do when it comes to Africa. How they exploit this continent. And that's why they don't want us to be stable. They don't want us to have peace. Because when we have peace, we will focus on growing. We'll focus on developing. So they always find the instability to keep us porridge. So we can do nothing. Okay? Listen right here.
Dear brothers and sisters, this video was sent to me.
So let me play it so you can see that.
So I'm just going to try to explain what's happening.
There's a company in Liberia that is exploiting iron ore. You see the train?
The train you see approaching in
this train is taking on iron ore in that part of Africa for 25 years.
This company
Western cluster
contract with the Liberian government
for 25 years.
Iron ore.
You see the train?
From Liberia for 25 years.
So the train will walk on that train track for 25 years in Africa.
For an extension of that contract. So what they are carrying, what you see here in
that is the raw material.
Is raw
iron ore.
That they'll process and turn it into iron and steel, what they use to do all their infrastructure and everything.
So this is how they exploit Africa. They will go, they will take those. Imagine the train you see over there is one of the longest train. And the location where that train coming from, there's no good road to lead to these places. They got black people living around those areas. Some of those part of those areas, no school, no hospitals. But imagine the mineral resources of that part of Africa in Liberia is leaving. But then, the people that live there, they live in actual poverty. Because imagine you live in somewhere no hospitals. You live in somewhere no school for your children to go to. You live in somewhere there's no doctor to even check people when they get sick. Only those that live around maybe the city area, but those that live in the villages and in the suburb, they got no hospital, they got no good roads. So imagine a company like this will run in that Africa for 25 years.
And the people of Liberia are living in poverty. They are still living in poverty.
And this is what they just want to do. This is what they want to do. They just want to come, get a little change, and then just exploit Africa. Imagine 25 years. 25 freaking years for a company to exploit your mineral for 25 years. You know what that is? Who in a right mind will even think to themselves, even 10 years, you think 10 years that's something to play with? Then we're talking about 25 years. It almost like when Firestone went to Liberia in 1926. When Harvard Firestone went to Liberia, West Africa, to establish the rubber plantation, that was the same thing. He forced the Liberian government to sign 99 years of concession agreement. 99. Who does that? And people that don't follow through history, they think that it was just something that the government of Liberia agreed. No, the government of Liberia never agreed. The reason why, you see, at that time, some of our African-American brothers were opposed to that. That led them, they had to migrate to Freetown, Sierra Leone. Because when Harvard Firestone brought that initiated to lease Liberia people land for 99 years, some of those educated African-Americans, they said, no, we don't want that. We can't agree to that. So Harvard Firestone take the telephone and call Washington. They're seeing Washington that we're talking about. So Washington, it's not start today. They've been suppressing Africa for so long. So Harvard Firestone, the owner of the Firestone plantation, he take the telephone and call Washington. And put fear in those black brothers and sisters. So some of them that will continue to stand on their ground, they start threatening them. And what happened? Some of them had to flee. Some of them migrated back to Freetown, Sierra Leone. So when Harvard Firestone, imagine he owned 1 million acres of land in Liberia. 1 million. And I say 2 acres. And I say 10 acres. And I say 100 acres. The Firestone plantation owned 1 million acres of land in Liberia. And in the document that they signed with the Liberian government gave them the right to plant their rubber in a part of Liberia. Even today, Firestone decides, say, they go into Monrovia to plant that rubber tree, the document gave them the right to do so. The country called Liberia. The document that was signed. But then, like I say, but by that time in Liberia, most of the presidents that were there were African American, were black people that left from America after the emancipation of slavery. They were the president. They were running the country. But despite some of them wanted to be free, they wanted to be honest to themselves. They wanted to run the country fairly. But then they had pressure. The same people that suppressed them in America were behind them in Africa also. So when they insisted, now Harvard Firestone said, no, you people want to give me a hard time. So what happened? Harvard Firestone came and forced the government to take a loan. just so that Harvard Firestone can have absolute control over Liberia. Those documents are there. You type on your computer today, the agreement between Liberia and that of Firestone, you're going to see it. At that time, the president of Liberia were African Americans, black brothers from Americas. So when some of them were insisting, and Harvard Firestone had so much power because he had a connection with America, some of them had to leave because they were continuing to insist. They were not want to agree to the agreement. So Harvard Firestone had to come and get some of them and force the government of Liberia to take a loan. And when Liberian government signed the loan, that's why they didn't ask for a loan. They didn't want a loan. But for Harvard Firestone to get control of them, he forced them to take a loan. And that loan led them to have forced labor. At that time, the indigenous people in Liberia were forced to work on the plantation. They were forced to the extent that they had to go into lawsuit. But then, other countries had to come to the aid of those indigenous people back then in Liberia. So they had to go into lawsuit to stop that indecent hard labor and stuff like that. Because some of those people were working on the plantation, they were not getting anything at all. They were just working. So now they're telling us, the United States telling us now they're changing the policy. They don't want to keep giving Africa aid. They want to start focusing on what? Infrastructure building, just like how China is doing.